Today, we're going to talk to two different people who live in Dubai about all the latest on selling on the fastest growing Amazon marketplace, Amazon UAE, including how one seller scaled up to $250,000 without even using any software. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the Amazon or Walmart world. And speaking of the Amazon world, I want to talk about one of the latest marketplaces that Helium 10 is working in and on. And so we're bringing back Crystal to the show. How's it going?
Hey, Bradley, how's everything? Just to preface, we had a meetup. For anyone who doesn't know, we had an in-person meetup in December of 2021. And you were there in Dubai, and everybody kept asking you, so when is Helium 10 going to be available for the Middle East, and notably mostly in the UAE? And you kept on saying, well, in a few months. You didn't really give a number, but you were saying in a few months, and everybody was really excited. And then a couple of months rolled by, and I started getting messages like Bradley said it's going to be a few months.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to today, and we're here. Perfect. Very excited.
Yes. You know, we've always said, at Helium 10 that, we launch a lot of stuff for customers, and it's because of the feedback. And every month we now have our bigger, better launch that we talk about the new features that we come out with. And remember, guys, the features come from, how many requests that we get from our users. So, a couple of years ago, the one that we didn't have that everybody was asking for was Australia. We came out with Australia. And then fast forward, a year later, the one that everybody was asking for was Amazon Japan. We came out with Amazon Japan. So now, it's time to come out with UAE, because that's what everybody was asking for. There's a lot of not a lot, but there's still a handful of Amazon marketplaces that we don't have functionality for. Singapore, maybe Brazil, Israel, etc. But we always prioritize based on demand, and your community and a lot of others outside of your community even have been asking for Amazon UAE support. So I wanted to bring you back now that it's been out, for a number of months now. Mm-hmm. And let's just, I'm just curious, how are things going? What have you seen in Amazon UAE? Is it still growing over there? Is there a lot of excitement? Are people making money? What can you tell us?
It is actually growing. And ever since we had our last conversation, a lot of people were, especially people who didn't really have Amazon, the Middle East, especially the UAE on their radar. A lot of people were now curious. Maybe the block that most sellers, especially established sellers, were having was the fact that, you weren't able to predict anything because you didn't have incredible tools like Helium 10 to help you. And, we forget how important tools are. Because, we just take it for granted, but it's a very valuable piece of the strategy for you as a seller. So you really do need a tool to help you make concrete, risk-free, well, to a certain extent, decisions. So with that being said, to answer your question, yes, we've seen the market grow over the past year. We've seen a lot of new brands come into the market, a lot of new brands being established on Amazon, potentially from incredible entrepreneurs in the region as well. And with the introduction of Helium 10, because it was a step-by-step rollout, so each and every feature was being rolled out week after week. So I've seen a build-up for it for sure. And I've seen a lot of excitement because people are like, okay, now I have no excuses. I have a tool and now I can start selling.
In your experience, obviously, you don't have access to Amazon's database, but with who you see in the field, what's the percentage, would you say, like, of the people who are just based in the area who are selling compared to people selling from Europe and United States in UAE? I mean, I would imagine, of course, it's easier for somebody based in there, but that's the beauty about Amazon. You don't have to be living in the country that you're selling in. So is it like 50-50, 80-20, 90-10? Like what's the breakdown that you've seen?
So according to Amazon's statistics, we have about 25,000 sellers on Amazon UAE. So that's a very small number compared to the US. However, the UAE has a population of 10 million. So that's quite a good number for such a small marketplace. 25,000, 70% of those are based in the Middle East and North Africa region, and 30% are based overseas. 30% is not a small number. However, I would have expected it to be a little bit higher. I think one of the major problems was because, first of all, Amazon do have an international marketplace team where they do reach out to large brands and businesses and tell them, look, you have an opportunity here. Why not come to the Middle East? They do it for, I know they do it for India, and they're also doing it for the Middle East as well. But of course, brands are hesitant because of the fact that, you don't really understand what the demand is on marketplaces like the UAE, because you don't have any tools. Well, up to now you do. So that's it. But also, I think 30% is also a good number for such a new marketplace, Bradley. And I think the reason why it is that high is because it's quite easy to get started on Amazon in the UAE. So we've talked about this in the past, but just to remind everyone, you don't really need to have an entity here in Dubai. You can get started with your US LLC or your UK LTD or your European-based business and just open an account here and just get started. So the entry to market is quite fast and easier than other marketplaces.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what about inventory? Because, in America, volume is high, right? So, if my minimum order from my factory is like 1,000 units or something, that should, just no problem. I'll send it all to FBA and, go through it in a month or two, depending on my sales velocity. But then obviously in other marketplaces, UAE's, it's growing rapidly, but it's still very small,
yes.
Compared to like US. So what are sellers doing? Like, are most sellers that there, are they almost all selling on other platforms, and then what they're doing is they make a big run at their factory, they send the majority to Germany or to USA if they're selling, and then smaller packages go to UAE? Or are there people having success where they are only selling in UAE and they can afford to make a big 1,000, 2,000 piece factory and send it all to UAE?
So I'm a business strategist. And if you look at this, if you look at the size of the market, it wouldn't make sense for you to operate the same way that you operate in a marketplace like the US. What you need to do in a marketplace like the UAE is you need to diversify. So rather than having one very successful product where you're selling thousands of units, the population isn't there, the numbers aren't there. So what you need to do is have 3 or 4 different products that would provide you the same sales that you would with one product in the US. So and diversification is also important with products, categories, as well as marketplaces. So in the UAE and in the Middle East in general, there are other marketplaces other than Amazon, and they are equally as maybe, they're competing with Amazon. So let's say they're equally as loved by users, and as a seller, you want to be everywhere and anywhere. So yes, they're not as easy for sellers to start selling on them. So there's that thing. There's that little problem. That's why what happens is you get started on Amazon, you start rolling out your products and your brand on Amazon, and then you move on to other marketplaces because it just makes sense for you to diversify your costs and your selling strategy.
The closest geographic Amazon country, would it be Amazon Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
And is that completely separate, or does FBA and UAE also ship out things to Saudi Arabia, or that's a completely separate marketplace, completely separate FBA? I have to operate them separately.
Unfortunately, it is separate. The reason why I'm using the word unfortunately is because in the Middle East, there's a kind of partnership between Gulf countries called the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is very similar to the EU. So with that being done, it wouldn't why is Amazon operating separately, these marketplaces? So in the Middle East, you've got 3 marketplaces. You've got the UAE, you've got Saudi Arabia, which is a much bigger population of 33 or 36 million. And you've got Egypt, which is the
I
biggest.
forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Egypt. Uh-huh.
Egypt is not part of the GCC, so that's okay. That's fine. It's okay for it to be, naturally maybe a separate entity. However, KSA and UAE, sellers aren't able to understand why they're not operating like they should operate. However, they are not. So to answer your question, yes, they are operating separately. Amazon, though, a year ago released saying, from the UAE, you'll be able as a seller to sell all over the Middle East, not just in the UAE. And we're getting started with this. It's in beta testing. We're trying to figure it out. They still haven't.
So is that like there's no Amazon Austria, but then I'm an Austrian. I'm trying to think of a typical Austrian name. Hans. My name is Hans, and I live in Vienna. I go to the Amazon Germany website. Yeah. I order something from there, and they ship it to me in Austria. So you're saying, hey, maybe I'm somewhere else in the middle. I'm in Oman or Jordan or something. Yeah. I can go on the one of these UAE or KSA website, and then it'll ship to me. But it's not. Is that what you're saying? And then number two is you're saying that's not ready yet.
That's what they said they're going to do. So that's the press release that they released almost a year ago, and they called it the Amazon Middle East FBA Exports Program. So yes, exactly. So UAE is going to be operating like Amazon Germany in Europe, whereby all of these smaller countries can order from the UAE versus having to order from the US. They're still trying to figure it out. So when that happens, because it wouldn't be ideal if it doesn't, when that happens, now you're selling to a much, you're selling to a much bigger community or country or population of people. Yeah.
Okay. So, but it sounds like, it's going to be originating from UAE as opposed to KSA or Egypt. So would it be safe to say, like, in that region, Gulf region there, and I'm interested to, I'm selling in Europe, I'm selling in Asia, I'm selling in US, whatever. But you know what? I want to get my foot in the door. I probably should start with UAE first. Is that correct?
For multiple reasons. One of the major reasons being it's the easiest country to get started in, being with laws, regulations, importing capabilities. The UAE in general is a hub for importing and exporting products from Europe to Asia. So it's very well connected. And at the same time, you're going to find, not to say that other countries don't, but I think the UAE is a little bit slightly elevated when it comes to shipping partners, logistics partners, every single service provider that you would need in order to carry out this project.
Just like you said, you don't have to have a UAE-based company or residence to sign up there. And actually, I did that. I'm not selling in UAE, but what I did was just so I can get into the Seller Central and start poking around and experimenting. With one of my accounts, I signed up for UAE, and it probably just took me a couple of days. It was really easy, and I just did everything with my US corporation. Is there any benefit though, if I did? If I did have a corporation that was based in UAE, or I had a business partner based there, and I used their information, or is it pretty much the same either way?
The benefit depends on obviously what your situation is as a business, where you're located, because in the UAE in particular, we don't have any income tax at the moment. So as a company operating from the UAE or a company based in the UAE, you wouldn't pay any income tax, corporate tax either. And you do have a runway of VAT registration, whereby it's mandatory to register for VAT when you get to around 100,000 US dollars in sales per year. Whereas you don't have that runway when you are an international seller. You need to register and start filing for your VAT, which is 5%, by the way, from zero when you get started. The disadvantage would be, Bradley, that it is actually now, because of 2020, it is quite easy to register a business. Previous to that, you would have needed to come to the UAE. Now you could do it all online. So it's quite easy, but it is, in comparison to other countries like the US, it is expensive to register a business. So it's not that expensive, but it is. It's going to set you back about $1,000 to $2,000 per year just to get a business entity. So that might be a hurdle for someone thinking of, I just want to test out the market. That's why I'm just suggesting just get started, test it out, and then you can maybe incorporate.
I remember you said last time that UAE's the main language that the website is in English. But then just like in America, the main language is English, but then the drop down options I believe are Spanish and maybe Hebrew. I'm not sure. But in UAE is the other option that people can view the website, is it Arabic or okay, and then to have that active, I don't have to submit in the back end like a separate translation of my entire listing in Arabic. Amazon is doing that for me, or I can actually make a different translation.
Amazon is doing it as soon as the product is active. Within maybe 7 days, it just translates automatically. And the translation, to be quite honest, is pretty good. It's not Google Translate. It's Amazon Translate, maybe. So it is actually pretty good. And the important thing is keywords. So we don't find, even though I'm pretty sure that a lot of people actually use Amazon in Arabic language, there's a huge expat community in the UAE, of course, but there is a huge Arabic speaking expat community as well. And you've met a lot of them. So a lot of people use Amazon in Arabic, yet I don't know why at the back end we find very few keywords. So in Arabic. So yeah, English is potentially the language to focus on for now.
Okay. Now, you've gotten us somebody we're about to interview next who's a successful seller, but what are some other just like maybe success stories of locals or overseas? You don't have to mention their names if they want to keep private, or you don't have to say their what they sell or anything, but just to let people know of what the potential is, because sometimes people think of these other marketplaces that they'll be like, oh, Amazon Australia, I'm only going to make, like $1,000 a month maximum, there. And they have these preconceptions that maybe, the market is tiny. And while it is smaller than the US, I'm sure there's still some successful sellers that you know of. So like, what are some like cool stories maybe of some sellers that you've heard of in your community?
We've seen recently this year a lot of people come to Amazon from different backgrounds, being able to create brands. Not necessarily the beauty of it, not necessarily being an expert in that brand. So I love that. So I don't want anybody to think that if you need to sell, I don't know, yoga products, you need to be a yoga instructor. No, you need to just have a genuine passion to create a brand that can solve people's problems. You've heard this before. This is not new information. And a lot of people have been able to do this year. And a lot of people in our community have been able to expand their businesses beyond the UAE. So the idea would be to create a genuine connection, a genuine product, to showcase that you are a brand, to add your brand story, and then start expanding, be it with your product line or be it via, operating in different marketplaces. First of all, opening from the UAE over to KSA and then Egypt and then potentially Europe and maybe the US as well.
All right, now before we switch to the other interview, just like we did last time, if we can end with a TST, our 30-second tip, so some kind of quick hitting strategy about selling, in Amazon UAE that you can give our community out there.
I definitely need to say this again. I think I said it last time, but the most important thing is selling a product that people want. So in business in general, and this is not just e-commerce, a large percentage of companies, service providers, anything and everything, even brands fail because they end up selling a product that people just don't want. So try to do your research and try to figure out if this is a product that people want, they're looking for, and that's especially important in a smaller marketplace like the UAE.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for coming back, and it'll be interesting, next year to see how the, not just in UAE, but in that whole region there, how the markets have grown, because they've definitely grown a lot in the last year. So thank you so much for coming on again.
Thanks, Bradley.
All right. So next up, we've got Alex now. And Alex, I've never talked to him. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything. I don't even know where you are, but it's late in the night here. So I'm assuming maybe are you in Dubai also?
Yeah, in Dubai. It's
okay. So what is it, morning time for you?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right. So now, what I did, well, as I told Crystal, hey, I was like, I want to talk to somebody who, has had, some kind of success there selling in Amazon UAE and just understanding, how it's going. So, but before we get there, tell me a little bit about yourself. I've never talked to you before than 4 minutes ago. So where are you from? How long have you been in Dubai, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So originally I'm from Serbia, and I came here almost 3 years
Where in
ago.
Serbia are you from?
I'm from Požarevac. It's a little city like 1 hour from the Belgrade. But I was studying in Belgrade and working, so like I spent half my life in the Belgrade, half like in the city, and yeah, some weekend house that I
Okay.
have also
I've been to
there. So
Belgrade a couple of times. I have been to Niš. I really love Niš over there in Serbia.
yeah, cool.
All right. So grew up in Serbia and then keep going with the story.
I'm iOS developer. That is my main occupation. So but myself, I also went for some kind of work and travel to USA. I was in Miami 6 months because I want to experience. I mean the US also, and to see Miami, and yeah, because of all the like Will Smith and other things that
Welcome
I
to
know.
Miami.
Yeah. So that was a really nice experience, and yeah. So
Okay.
my goal was to go somewhere that is like hot, that is like good weather.
I was literally about to say that if you ended up in Dubai,
But
your goal must have been to go somewhere super hot.
it's yeah. I mean, I didn't want to go to super hot, but here is like I want hot, so I got it. So that's an interesting part. So yeah, I moved here like almost 3 years ago, and yeah. So
Had you ever sold online before you started selling on Amazon UAE, or when you opened on Amazon
no,
UAE, that's your first e-commerce?
yeah. So basically, because my parents were entrepreneur, so I got that, I guess, from them. So, for example, I was selling like bubble gum when I was in school. So yeah, that's how I started, because I was watching my parents how they did the like
Mhm.
they had some stores, and so I learned from them, I guess, because the children just yeah.
So what were you doing for work when you got to Dubai? Did you just keep doing like programming work, like freelancing, or what were you doing to support yourself?
Yeah, because I'm working remotely, so I'm flexible. So that is
Okay.
good part. So mainly I want to go to Spain because it's good culture and Spain is really cool, because my girlfriend finished Spanish. So I was like, okay, let's take our car, we go to Spain. I will work remotely, you will find some work, and we can continue afterwards. So we will see what will go on. And that was like in June, like 3 years ago.
Okay.
And my friend just called me and he says, okay, do Sanela want to come here in Dubai? We're looking for the personal trainer. But we decided to go to Spain in September when the summer is like end.
Did you say personal trainer?
Yeah.
Like a personal
My
trainer,
girlfriend.
as in like helping somebody work out, or a personal training them how to
Yeah.
program?
No. The workout in the gym. So yeah, we were like, okay, let's try. So that is how we came to Dubai. So it was interesting thing. But before that, we travel a lot because I was working remotely. We went 4 months to Asia. We went to 2 months for the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and that was my wish from the earlier, that can do the work remotely and I can just travel. So that was really good part of
All right.
the
So at what point, when, and how did you find out about the opportunity to sell online then?
Yeah, so when I came here, I'm just on browsing the YouTube, and I saw the Crystal video, and I was like, I didn't know anything about e-commerce, online selling, and anything. So I was like, okay, I just started watching the videos, and I like it. I subscribed to her course, and we have some Telegram group there as well. So that is how I started to learn about the Amazon and FBA and everything. And I started like from the zero. I don't have anyone from my closer friends that did it, so I just started. Yeah. So I didn't speak with anyone about this one, and I said, okay, I will try this. Not try. I want to do it, and let's figure out how to do it. So I ordered some product from the Alibaba. I didn't know how to create a shipping plan and anything. So I was like just asking the questions and reading the videos, tutorials.
Well, tell me, how did you find the product in the first place? Because in those days, for example, Helium 10 wasn't working for Amazon UAE yet. So how did you even find the product you were looking for? How did you find your keywords? Like, what did you do for that?
Everything manually. That's
Wow.
hard work, I guess. But the Amazon came here, I think, 4 years ago. So I started like maybe 1.5 years after the Amazon came here. So it was really new. So yeah, with the first product, I did what I shouldn't do. I go with the product that I thought it's a good product and it's cool product. And I know that that's mistake, but I was so sure about that one. I was so passionate about that one. So I ordered just 200 pieces, and it wasn't, it was bad. So in the end, I left like 50 pieces at my home, and I just realized that it's not a good product. So after that, I tried to with other product, which was also something that I thought it's cool. Which I know it's mistake. So I did all the design, everything prepared, the logo, everything. And before I make the order, I got the samples. I pay a lot for the samples. And I realized when I track the sales manually with 999, which is like all the way to do it, but some sellers that don't limit that. So I realized that it's not a good idea, and it's better to stop now than to order and try to do some. So after that, I do a lot of research manually, and I found that my budget was like $3,000 to start. So I already burned like $2,000. So I was like, I was do my research. I found one interesting product. It was a little bit before the Chinese New Year. So I was thinking they are getting out of the stock in the middle of the Chinese New Year, and I hope that they won't have the stock to later on. So I ordered, I don't know, 100 pieces, and I got lucky because I was selling like when in UAE it's a lot when you sell like 30 pieces per day. So in one day I made like $600, $700 for one day, which is like here like a lot of money. So I get some hope back, and because I was like going down because my first product failed, the other one like I spent a lot of money. And that is something that boosts me, and I just continue to do my research and to watch the videos. And the good part is because I did it I watched the course and all kind of videos, but I did it my way. I didn't blindly follow all the steps that I should do because it's new market. So I was just browsing the Amazon and tracking the other sellers what they are doing, and just do it some kind of my way, following some kind of the rules.
Now going back actually to the beginning though, like you being Serbian, not the UAE passport or anything. Tell me about was it super simple to sign up for an account there? And also, my other question is, how does that work for taxes or like is there import duties that you have to pay? When it comes into the country, that's different than if somebody lives there. Talk to me a little bit about those kind of things.
Yeah, that's the best thing here because a lot of people all around the world come here and open the companies because it's heaven for online business and any kind of the businesses. So basically here you can sell up to, I think, $70,000 per year, and you don't need to pay any tax. You are tax free. And you can start as an individual seller, so you don't need the company in the beginning because you are tax free and you can sell. It's not like on Amazon you can do it. So you have some flexibility that you don't need to burn money in the beginning for the opening the company and like registering maybe trademark because it's new market here. So that's good part here because you can also open company for around $4,000, and you also have like visa for 3 years, and it's only 5% the VAT, but you are paying the VAT on the profit. So you're not paying like in Serbia, you pay 20% for the tax, and then you can deduct some tax from the government. But here, if you import something for 1,000 and you sell it for 900, and you made the profit 100 only, you pay tax only on 100.
So it's $5
only on the
in
profit.
that situation.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that part here is like the heaven, I guess. So it's easy to open the company, and for the tax, it's really, really good.
So now fast forwarding to 2022, that was when you started. Like, what do you think you're going to, I know it's kind of early in the year still, but what do you think you're going to finish 2022 as far as your gross revenue in 2022?
So yeah, it should be around 250,000, or more or less. We'll see how it will go.
All right. And about profit, what's your profit margin approximately?
Around 30%. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty high. So have you then stopped your programming and personal training and other jobs like that, and Amazon your only income, or are you still doing the other things?
I'm still doing my full-time. I'm full-time iOS developer, and I'm doing this on the side. So yeah.
So how many hours a week are you spending on your Amazon business?
I spend maybe every day around 2 hours, I guess. It depends. Yeah.
How many products do you have?
Around 15. Yeah.
15. All right.
Yeah.
So, since have you gotten Helium 10 since we got the new tools there, or are you still doing everything just by yourself?
Everything manually. I tried like a few days ago. So what I did earlier, I was doing everything manually. So I guess I will wait a little bit more just to like Helium to collect all the data and to be sure that everything is right there. But yeah, the data is the big thing. So yeah, I started few days ago, honestly. So yeah, I will just track how it will go, and yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee that if you got to this level without it, I mean, you're going to be able to go even higher. Like, the number one thing I suggest you start with is Cerebro. Putting in your own product and then comparing it, either Cerebro or Listing Analyzer, either one you could use, but comparing your product to maybe your top competition and see where they're ranking for on certain keywords that maybe you didn't even realize were important. So the fact that you can get to this level without it, yeah, it's kind of like it was 6 years ago in the United States for Amazon USA. There was no Helium 10 or other tools around there. So you just kind of had to do it on your own. And, UAE market is similarly brand new. And so everybody was kind of doing it on their own, which is fine. But then now you're going to have an advantage over your competition because you're going to, start utilizing the research tools from Helium 10 and getting some competitive advantages. Now, have you looked at all into maybe expanding to America or to Amazon Europe with your products?
I was thinking about that one, but I'm a little bit like scared to do it right now. So I will continue with UAE for now, but I think I will do it later on. I don't know, maybe in 1 or 2 years, maybe yeah. So you need to take a step, but yeah, you don't need to be afraid. But in this phase, I'm afraid because I didn't use any tools, and US, like it's huge market and so much opportunity there. But yeah, it's also a lot of competitors. But here, everything is different. So I used to this market, but yeah, it's a matter of time when I decide to go to some other market, maybe Europe, or I don't know. I will see. But I will continue with the UAE for now, and yeah.
How did you get to like page 1 of your main keywords? Like how did you? Was it just through PPC or what did you do?
I do a lot of PPC, and yeah, I mean recently I'm just trying to reduce it a little bit. So in the beginning, PPC is really important to get ranking, and optimizing the listing with the right keywords. So you need to put a lot of keywords in the title and description, and try to find the good keyword that is like really, really, I mean, main thing to do. I mean, there are a lot of main things to do regarding the listing, but yeah, I mean, the keywords are, so important. But PPC is really important to rank yourself. And, but when you ranked, you need to use PPC maybe to reduce a little bit. So just to be on the first page and not to lose the track.
Like I heard in UAE, the cost per click is still very low, which is probably one of the reasons why you've been able to, to have such a high percentage. Like some of your main keywords, what are you paying per click about?
I mean, it's around $1 or
Oh, must be nice.
one or two maybe, or maybe half. It depends on the product. But also
Yeah.
the product targeting is really good because that's really cheap, and that's the thing that you need to go. So I did a lot of like product targeting, and I realized that I mean, in some of the product that I was targeting, it was bad reviews, but that product is not selling well, and somehow I got a lot of traffic from this product. So
Okay.
the BSR was not good. Nothing it was so okay for this product to target, like hardly. But I just explore, and I realized that somehow I got like 80% of the product targeting traffic from this one. So you need to experiment
Oh.
and to test it.
Do you have brand registry?
Yeah.
So then are you running like any sponsored, do they have sponsored brand ads, sponsored display, sponsored
They
video
have
in
they
UAE?
they launched it like recently for the like you will be able to add a video. So that was really good feature. But yeah, it's good because the market is, I mean, it's small, expanding a lot. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities. Some people says that it's overcrowded, but I mean, it's not. So you need to do your homework and to research and just to see what you would like to see. Not just to follow the pattern and just I don't know, download some images and put it there and just do a lot of work, a little bit of work there. So you want, when someone come to see your listing, that to see and like I want to buy this product. So you need to spend money on the images and not just to like use some other images that everyone is using. So you need to pop up from your competitors.
And do you store all of your inventory in FBA, or do you use third-party warehouse, or it goes directly from your manufacturer all the way to Amazon?
I don't have any warehouse here, so I'm managing somehow to do all directly to the Amazon FBA here to the warehouse. And I think I will need warehouse here. It can help me a little bit. It will be easier, I think, to organize everything, because if you keep, it's hard to track and to make the orders in right time, and something got delayed. So I did some order like 2 weeks ago, and the supplier didn't communicate with freight forwarder, and the Yiwu warehouse in China were closed because of the COVID. So my product were staying there, and they will send it like I think tomorrow. So that can happen. But if I have warehouse here.
All right, my last question is kind of like, this could be like your tip of the day, but I know you're going to start using Helium 10 and doing some keyword research that way, but all these years, you haven't been using a tool. But at the same time, you've been mentioning, hey, it's important to have the right keywords and listing optimization. So tell me, how does somebody, without using a tool, how do you know what is some of your strategy of knowing what your main keywords are? Like, is it strictly from brand analytics and PPC data, or what techniques were you using where it's not utilizing an outside tool?
I mean, all of them. So, but manual work, what we are doing here is also important. So you can just, experiment. You can also open like your competitor listing and just to, checking the keywords and also putting in the search bar. You open this private window and just try to figure out who is ranked there for which keyword. So it was a lot of manual work.
Yeah.
And from the reports, from the brand analytics, you can also find some stuff there as well, and from the PPC. So I guess all three of those. But I did a lot of manual work. It takes time, but you just need to explore.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, you're going to be so shocked, especially as a programmer. You'll be able to appreciate more once you start using Cerebro, and then all of a sudden you put in your competitor product, and within 5 seconds you're going to know all of the 3,000 keywords they're ranking for and what position they are. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, where has this been all my life? But hey, it's right. Some people don't have tools, and it's important that they do what you do. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to throw whatever keywords I want on the listing. No, no, even without a tool, you've got to do the keyword research. There's still methods available. So
I'm just imagining my face when I do like this keyword research, and when I realize that I can get everything like in one page that I did like for like how many hours manually. So I'm just imagining my face and my smile, like, man, this is so easy.
all right. Well, thank you so much for coming on here in Serbian. I guess I should say Hvala, right? For coming on the show. And, what one of the, another reason to use Helium 10, one of our executives since the early days is from Serbia. So that's how I know a little bit about Serbia over there. His name is Boyan. So, when you come out here to America, I'll introduce you, and you guys can talk in Serbian about living in 120-degree weather in Dubai over there.
Okay, sure,
But
sure.
anyways, Alex, thank you so much for joining us. And I was in Dubai a few months ago. I hope to come back again, and maybe I'll get to talk to you and see how you're doing with your Amazon business then.